Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Lee Dixon blast Arsenal star Oleksandr Zinchenko after Southampton draw. Arsenal were held to a 3-3 draw by Southampton last night, and the club legend Lee Dixon was far from impressed with Zinchenko's defending. The Gunners showed real character to get back into the game after going 2-0 and 3-1 down, but they only have themselves to blame for the three goals they conceded. Dixon has pointed the finger at Zinchenko for Southampton's third goal. Zinchenko has been one of Arsenal's best players this season. The Ukrainian, who joined the Gunners for an initial £30 million from Manchester City last summer, has transformed how the Gunners play, and he is one of the biggest reasons why they are on top of the Premier League table. However, Zinchenko's defensive frailties have been very evident over the last few weeks. The Ukrainian's mistake allowed Liverpool to level the game 2 weeks ago, while Dixon believes he is to blame again for Southampton's final goal at the Emirates yesterday. He told the Premier League Productions, as quoted by the Metro, "Look at Zinchenko for Southampton's third goal. He's got his man, he is looking at his man, he's got his arm in the air, and then he just goes to sleep. He is not a brilliant defender. He is brilliant on the ball, and Arsenal use him to their strength with the ball, but without the ball, we saw him play a role in Liverpool's equaliser at Anfield and again yesterday. He's got to be alive as a defender. Whether you sometimes go in midfield or not, it's your job to keep the ball out of the back of the net." Zinchenko is among the best players in the league when he has the ball at his feet, but he isn't quite the same when he is out of possession and has to defend. He has made crucial mistakes against Aston Villa, Liverpool, and now Southampton, and two of those have unfortunately cost Arsenal. Zinchenko will know he has to do better in those situations. He just cannot fall asleep like he did last night, especially when Arsenal are trailing the game. The Gunners take on Manchester City next, and they will have to be at their absolute best to get something out of the game. Zinchenko, despite his defensive problems, will be one of the most important players on the pitch for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta shares exactly what he said to the Arsenal squad last night. Mikel Arteta's Arsenal slipped up in the title race on a Friday evening with a 3-3 draw at home to Southampton. Almost every Arsenal fan in the country will have had this game preemptively marked down as a win on their calendars as top played bottom, but the Saints upset the odds at the Emirates. Mikel Arteta would be forgiven for being angry or upset after the game, but he was actually very rational. Speaking on the BBC Radio 5 Live Football Daily podcast, Arteta shared what he told his squad after the game, and he was still relaying positive messages, telling his team how much he loves coaching them and how they play. The Spaniard shared the conversation he had with his team on Friday evening. He said, "We were so close to winning. It's incredible, but it happens. Errors are part of football, and our job is to give the support that is needed. And I told them that I love them so much and that it's a joy to coach them, to see that belief, that spirit, and that togetherness that they have, and the quality they play with when it's really pressure. I didn't see anybody hiding, everyone was going for it." Many managers would have gone in and torn the dressing room up after such a result on a Friday, but Arteta seems to be favoring a softer approach here. To be fair, it's hard to be angry with the squad after their performances so far this season. They have already surpassed all expectations this term, and Arteta seems to realize that there is no point lingering on one negative after an amazing campaign. Arsenal need to pick themselves up and dust themselves off and find a way to beat Manchester City on Wednesday. Mikel Arteta delivers verdict on Leandro Trossard. Arsenal came from 3-1 down to draw 3-3 against Southampton last night, and Leandro Trossard made a huge difference for Mikel Arteta's side after coming off the bench. The Gunners started the game terribly. They were 2-0 down after just 14 minutes, and things got worse in the second half when they trailed 3-1. It looked like a defeat for Arsenal, but Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka's late goals earned them a point. Trossard, however, was the difference maker, and he almost won the game for Arsenal in the end. Leandro Trossard had to settle for a spot on the bench again as Gabriel Jesus started up top for Arsenal last night. The Brazilian missed two huge chances to score. That, combined with the defensive mistakes they made, cost Arsenal 2 points, but Trossard's performance after coming off the bench was a huge positive. The Belgian replaced Fabio Vieira, who started the game as a number 8. Trossard played almost as a 10 when he came on, and he constantly threatened Southampton's defense. Arteta was asked about his contribution after the game, and the Gunners' boss seemed really impressed. He told Arsenal.com, "He does everything. It's about how you play everybody together, and in every phase of play, he is with the right balance as well without losing the structure and flow of the team. But when he came on, for sure he looked really good again." Leandro Trossard did everything he could to change the game for Arsenal last night. He almost scored a stunner too, but his left-footed strike hit the crossbar and went out of play. Arteta has a few decisions to make now. Jesus is absolutely outstanding, and he is one of the biggest reasons why Arsenal are on top of the Premier League table now. However, Trossard has definitely done enough to earn a start. It will be interesting to see if Arteta will give the Belgian a go against Manchester City on Wednesday. Pundit says 25-year-old Arsenal player is going to let Mikel Arteta down. John Giles has stated that Gabriel Magalhaes will let Mikel Arteta down in the final weeks of the season. Speaking on off the ball, Giles was discussing the Gunners' title credentials, and he thinks that when push comes to shove, Arsenal's player will crumble and let their manager down. Giles took issue with two players in particular, Granit Xhaka and Gabriel Magalhaes. The Irishman stated that Gabriel's defending against West Ham last weekend was nothing short of disgraceful, and while he thinks that Mikel Arteta has done a fantastic job this season, he is going to be let down by the Brazilian when all is said and done. Giles gave his verdict on the 25-year-old. He said, "When it gets to the crunch, when you are playing, these players will let you down. There is more importance on it the longer you go, and you have to do everything right." Giles went on to discuss his issues with Granit Xhaka against Liverpool before touching on Gabriel. He said, "Saturday was the same with Gabriel and the penalty he gave away. It was disgraceful to be doing that, and he's always likely to do that, and Xhaka is always likely to be a headbanger. That's what I would worry about with Arsenal. When it comes to the big matches, there is more tension on it, and you need the players who will do what needs to be done. Unfortunately for Arteta, I think he is doing a good job. There are a couple of players, like those two, who will let him down." Gabriel has had this tag of being a bit of a liability following him for way too long now, and this is his opportunity to set the record straight. Was the Brazilian a bit brash when he first came to England? Of course he was, but should that define him all these years later? No way. The centre back has barely put a foot wrong this season, and yet some are still tipping him to let his team down. Gabriel has the chance to silence all of his critics once and for all over the next few weeks by leading Arsenal to a Premier League title. Aston Villa will look to lure Arsenal star into free agency at the end of the season. Reiss Nelson's future at Arsenal is unknown, but Aston Villa are interested in signing the winger should he become a free agent at the end of the season. According to Todo Vigac's, Arsenal want the 23-year-old to stay at the Emirates beyond the season, as Mikel Arteta likes his contributions from the bench. Nelson has played 5 times in the Premier League for the Gunners this season and has contributed 3 goals and 2 assists to their title charge, with his last-minute winner against Bournemouth being his biggest moment of the campaign so far. It will be up to the player if he wants to leave or not, states the report, as Villa are one team ready to make a move if he decides he needs a change of scenery. Nelson would certainly get more opportunities at Aston Villa and would be joining a team that is on the rise under Unai Emery's leadership. At 23, it's time for the winger to get regular game time, and although It's nice being part of a winning team. He will not get that at Arsenal over the next few seasons. Aston Villa reignite interest in 22-year-old Arsenal attacker. Aston Villa could step up their interest in signing Arsenal attacker Emile Smith-Rowe. That's according to a recent report from TalkSport, who claims Unai Emery is a big admirer of the Gunners' young wide playmaker, having previously awarded him with his senior debut while in charge of the Londoners back in 2018. Despite being part of a strong core of young English players, Smith Rowe's position at Arsenal has come under threat this season following the emergence of Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard, who was signed from Brighton in January, seemingly way down in Mikel Arteta's pecking order. Smith Rowe, 22, could find himself in search of a new challenge as he looks to reignite his stagnating career, and according to these latest reports, Villa Park could be where the 22-year-old is offered a lot more regular playing time, even though the Villains came up short in their efforts to sign him following a £30 million bid in the summer of 2021. Since making his senior debut for the Gunners, Smith Rowe, who has 3 years left on his deal, has gone on to directly contribute to 28 goals in 93 games in all competitions. Arsenal determined to sign Victor Osimhen's international teammate. Arsenal are trying really hard to get a deal done to bring in Villarreal winger Samuel Chukwueze, according to reports from Spain today. Chukwueze has been in impressive form for the Spanish side once again and has hit 13 goals in all competitions this season. The 23-year-old has been linked with a move to England in the past, and Aston Villa were thought to be keen on reuniting him with Unai Emery in the January window. However, according to Mondo Deportivo via Sport Witness, it's now Arsenal and West Ham who are pressing the hardest to sign the impressive Nigerian star. Of course, Chukwueze is the international teammate of a certain Victor Osimhen. The Nigerian striker is one of the most in-demand players in Europe right now, and Arsenal have been mentioned as being keen on him as well. Chukwueze, meanwhile, has been branded as being an incredible player for his efforts with Villarreal. He is believed to have a release clause in his contract around the £69 million mark. Arsenal are looking at a few new signings this summer as they look to build on a superb season. Of all the names being linked with the Gunners in recent times, the addition of Samuel Chukwueze to that list seems a bit of an underwhelming one. Sure, he is a good player in his own right and has done well with Villarreal, but he isn't the ready-made world-class player Arsenal need to be going for right now at over £50 million. Too, he is an expensive gamble who might not even pay off for the Gunners. Arsenal can sign better than Chukwueze despite his qualities. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.